What's up, everybody? Joe Gray here today with another live stream for the GGC. Today, I'm joined by my friend Pixie Lifter, aka Danielle. Well, I don't know if you got any other ones, but that's what I know you by. So
It's my only
that's it.
nickname.
Those are the only ones.
That's
Okay,
it.
perfect.
That's it.
Danielle has competed in the GGC quite a few times. She's a live stream. What's the word I'm looking for? Expert, sure. Let's go with that.
Aficionado.
Yeah,
Yeah.
aficionado. Yeah. She ran with the other Joe and Ben Rice last year. And so glad to have her on again. I'll let her introduce herself in a second. But for everybody out there, if you're out there, drop something in the chat so we know you're alive. As we go, if you have any questions for me or Danielle, drop them there as well. If you have your own lifts that you want us to review, you can drop links there. We'll try and take a look, feed it in there, all kinds of good stuff, and I'll have some questions for you as we go. Danielle, let them know who you are, what you're doing, all that good stuff.
Beautiful. So yeah, my name's Danielle Hanneman. I live in Athens, Georgia. I have been in fitness since I was 21. I started off teaching group fitness classes like ye old body pump and cycling, and then got into personal training, did that through grad school, and CrossFitted for a while. And then my shoulder didn't work ever and found powerlifting in 2020, I guess the end of 2022. So I have been competing about twice a year since then. I really enjoy it. I do take on a couple of powerlifting coaching clients right now, but I'm back to working full-time in nonprofit. So powerlifting is now my fun side hobby. Shout out to Leo for watching during a 12-hour night shift. We appreciate it. Hopefully we can bring some levity to your work day. But yeah, so that's me. I'm a super lightweight. I compete in 52 kilo weight class. So a lot of my feedback is do as I say, not as I do, because my lifts are not going to out total anyone else. But I can hopefully help at least notice some things, give some tips and tricks. And yeah, that's me.
Yep. Cool. So as we go, we're going to review a bunch of videos. I got 9 lined up for us today. Monday, we got through about 7. Obviously, it just depends. We might have a handful of people where we go, I don't got anything, and we just kind of move on. Sometimes you guys nail it. Other times we might spend quite a few minutes tearing it apart because we see some more stuff. Everybody who is included in this live stream did tell us that we could use their stuff and tear them apart. So we are not just randomly picking people off the internet and giving them feedback like all the fun internet trolls that do.
Natty or not.
Yeah. So, all right. We want to jump into our first one?
Let's rock it.
We're going to do start in order.
Oh, okay.
Let's go back. Okay, so squat. So we don't get to see his unrack, so we're not going to be able to call on that one. But anything? I didn't see anything necessarily.
No, yeah. So this is a tough angle to film from to judge depth. Obviously, this is a virtual competition where we are not grading you. But if you are ever planning to compete in a meet, I recommend filming from about your hip height because refs are going to be on chairs and leaning down to watch for your hip crease. So that's, and obviously those of us who lift in garages and basements can't always get good angles because there's cars parked there. But overall, his brace looks good. It moved well. It looks heavy. Didn't lose his brace or form at any point. Looks solid.
So this is Leo. He says he squatted or he PR'd his squat and his deadlift. So if that's a PR, time to bump it up, buddy, because that was clean. So
yeah, that's I got another 10% in there. I'd say that's like RP 8.5.
Yeah, so 455 squat is what he's got. Let's see. He says he's only been lifting for a couple of years, so 2 to 5 years. Pretty solid.
Nicely.
If I squatted 455 in my first couple of years, I'd be pretty stoked. So
if I squat 454, I'd die. Expect sponsorships.
One of the other ones I'm going to toss in here is we asked everyone who submitted. So I don't know if you saw this one, Danielle, going around the interwebs. It was the question of if there was 100 of you versus a silverback gorilla, who would win in a fight? Did you see that question? It was like a meme floating around for a little bit there.
No.
So I always like to ask one really dumb, weird question in the submission form. That was the one this time.
Good.
So I will add that in as we go. So Leo says there would be a lot of casualties, but I believe I would come out on top. Remember, there is nothing fair about a fight when it comes to survival. So that's fair. Yeah. So
good answer. I support
think that means he's going to do some gnarly stuff to that gorilla. So
I think that means that not all 100 Leos are walking out alive, but Leo comes out on top.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's take this next clip. Grinder, deep spot. He got there. And he doesn't say that that's a PR, which is wild because that was earned for sure. So
yeah, that was a heck of a fight.
Let's watch that. Let's watch that one.
Yeah.
So I already see some movement in the legs and stuff as he's unracking. So typically I would like to see basically everything from like the armpit down to the toe, basically rock solid as much as possible, from the point you unrack to the point you put that bar kind of back in the J cups, right? So
yeah, it looks like he is benching this entire weight with just his upper body, which is bonkers.
Yeah.
If we can get the feet stabilized and some pressure through the foot and incorporate a leg drive, obviously you wouldn't see the feet slipping around as much, but also I think
because I don't see there's some arch, but not a ton. That one's obviously up to you. I think he's a bigger dude, so bigger dudes have a lot less arch than yourself, for instance.
Yeah, I'm a little person and I'm hypermobile. I like to think of it, when I first started powerlifting, I was trying to arch more, and it's less about increasing your arch and more about getting onto your traps, whatever that looks like for you. So if you can dig in and settle, and instead of having the bar here, have those shoulders down and your feet are pushing you into your traps and you're pushing your toes forward, not your hips up. That would, I think, add some pounds to his press.
Yep. All right, so let's take a look at the rest of it. Elbows flare a bit, right, as he starts to go up. So he kind of loses that bar path, which my guess is just because he's not tight. He's just going, how can I get this up and not die?
This is what I looked like when I CrossFitted. Basically same, just 20.
Yeah. So Leo, ideally, if you get that tension down, hopefully you're then able to keep those elbows where they started, right? So if you're tighter, you finish tighter or if you're wider, you finish wider, like whatever that is, it should stick the whole way. You kind of flare it out in an attempt to get that chest up and something and whatever. And you got there, which is important, but those are the only two things I see. Yeah, we can see that foot move again.
His foot is off the ground and he still finishes this press. That is impressive.
I told
dude,
Sam
you got
on
some
Monday.
More weight in your body.
Yeah, I told Sam on Monday. I was like, because we watched a couple people who fought a real hard bench, and I was like, I can grind a squat. I can grind a deadlift if I get it maybe like halfway up. I don't know why, but my bench is just like I benched today. I hit 315 and it looked like a paperweight. I hit like 335 and it was like, oh God, I'm gonna die, and I almost tapped out. And
the beauty when you're a 52 kilo lifter, like my last meet, I competed at 108 pounds, and that same thing happens, except it's like 1.5 pounds makes the difference.
Yeah.
So you'll go up 2.5 5 pounds, like you'll hit your second and everybody's like, rah, rah, and then you go to try your third and it's just nothing's happening.
Yeah,
Yep,
they literally added the smallest plate they can possibly add to the sides, and it doesn't go.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this bench. Yeah, I mean, so kudos for finishing it, getting it all the way up. I didn't even really see his bench. Like, you have to keep your feet down in an actual meet though, right? So technically,
your feet can't come up off the ground.
Yeah.
They have to stay planted where they are.
So other than that though, I mean, he pretty much did everything he needed to do from a passing the lift perspective. Amazingly enough, right? I didn't see his butt end up in the air like crazy or anything. So if he can work on that feet in the ground tension from the feet to the, into the shoulder kind of thing all the way. So that was a 300-pound bench. Dude, Leo, you might got 350 on you. So especially if you can grind like that, man. So,
right. Seriously.
All right, let's check out his deadlift. I didn't have anything.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice long hold at the top, fully locked out. He was in position, didn't lose control at any point. Good angles, good shin angle. Is he deadlifting in socks? Yeah. Is that what
looks like it?
Yeah. The move. That's one thing that might help with bench. Those Nikes are not particularly grippy. Any sort of like generic athletic or running shoe. So throwing on, I mean, like you do not have to spend a ton of money on equipment, especially if you're not competing. But a shoe with a sole with a little more traction might help the feet stay stuck. Deadlifts are great.
I tend to wipe down my platform before my big lifts for that reason. Just the dust that accumulates in the garage is enough to kind of slip a little bit. So All right, Leo, that's a 1280 total for you. I think that deadlift was perfect.
Pristine.
That bench is the one that you just got to lock in a little bit more tension, and I think you got it. So.
Yep, agreed. Well done.
All right. Yep, good job, dude. Let's take a look at Zachary. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. All right, so we're going to start with bench for Zach. So Zach Kames. He says a 475 bench.
I mean, same. So.
Yeah, he said he PR'd bench. He's been lifting for 10 plus years. He could take, I think I could take the Gorilla. So he's another team. Zach's going to beat the Gorilla. So we will see.
Team Zach all the way.
Yeah. With the 475 bench, I might agree.
Yeah.
Crazy enough. He says he squats 495 and deadlifts 495 in this. So
wait, and he benches.
It's set his form. I mean, that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 plates, right?
Yeah.
Plus a 50 and so
10 plus 4.
So 475 bench, 495 squat, 495 deadlift. So apparently we got a bench specialist.
I didn't even know. Well, I guess so. You've got our guy Zach and Jen Thompson, bench specialists of the world.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
By the way, we got Leo. Leo's actually in the chat. Leo,
hey, Leo. If you have any other questions while you're in here, Leo, and you want us to expand, feel free to ask them since you're in and watching.
All right, so let's take a look at Zachary's bench because I'm excited for this one. He even hit the J cup. All right, let's watch that again. Out. So Sam and I gave this cue a lot. And look, I don't bench as much as Zach, so I feel weird sometimes doing this.
Don't you love it? Like, listen, I understand that you bench thrice, 3.5 times my bench, but let me just tell you how to do it.
That's 100 pounds more than I've ever benched on my best day at higher heavyweight.
325 pounds more than me.
Yeah, there you go. You know? So typically I would recommend that unrack and then a slightly slower transition from unrack to descent. So I'll watch it again and see how quickly he goes from out of the J cups to starting to lift. The issue with that, especially with that much weight, tends to be you unrack it and that bar is still trying to go this way and you're trying to lower it. You really want it to sit and you own that weight and then come straight down, because at an almost 500-pound lift, any movement in the wrong way is enough for you to completely get out of the rhythm and not end up where you want to be. He's close. Like, it's probably like another half a second, and I would have not even said that. But that might be one thing for him. I think pretty much everything stays down, it looks like. But then he
might have had a little bit of butt lift, but it's hard to I mean, like, again, when you're at a powerlifting meet, you got 3 refs watching you and 2 on each side. So, like, but under max load, that happens for a lot of people. And, you know, unless you're being really neurotic about the angle, it looked pretty, it's possible, but obviously I'm okay on it. But I do think the unrack and specifically getting, when he starts that lift so quickly, and then you see when he starts his press, he somehow gets into a better position. So he like somehow gets 475 pounds all the way down to his chest. His head comes up, and then it's like he pushes into his traps and then gets it up. So if you can unrack and get into your traps before you start the lift, I think that will help with stability. And then just a note, again, if you ever want to compete, check the federation you compete in. Some feds, IPF, I think USAPL, your head has to stay down and your heels have to stay on the floor. I ref in PLU, used to do WRPF, and I think USPA has same rules, but heels can be up and neck can be up as well. So there's nothing wrong with this technique. Just don't spend money to compete in a fed where they're going to be like, doesn't count, your head came up, if that's not how you bench. That's why I'm saying this. Just things to think about.
I'm with you.
For GGC.
All good. Yeah, so watch that again. He's
in his traps right there. And
there.
Yeah.
Well, and that far hand, I'm pretty sure he hits the J cup right there.
Oh, so,
Just watch it. It comes out and around for him to unrack it. So that's a 475 bench that we managed to have some feedback on while he hit the J cup. So that dude might be a 500-pound bencher if he can lock in a couple more things. Like tomorrow.
Listen, Zach, we just want to see you bench more than you squat. So
if
you can just apply these few things and circle back.
Very impressive.
I'm excited for that moment.
Yeah. All right. So we got a 495 deadlift. He said, missed the PR in deadlift, dropped weight, and missed the lift I can usually do when fresh. And he's going to try to focus more on squats, hit a plateau on squats and deadlift. Hopefully for the fall meet, I'll improve those 2 and still add to my bench. Trying to get a 5-plate bench, but not have all my lifts at the same weight. he added the LOL at the end. So he's aware of how ridiculous that is.
But here's the thing. If all your weights are at the same weight and it's a good weight for squat and deadlift, you're good. Now, if it's like you're a mid bencher and you only squat and deadlift what you bench, then we need to build some muscle. But like I would take your numbers. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's almost a 1,500-pound total across the board, so not too bad. All right, let's watch the deadlift. My guess is, since this wasn't a PR and he wasn't too happy with it, we're going to not spend a lot of time tearing it apart, but we'll see. I don't see a belt, which is crazy too.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was going to double over.
I thought he was going to hook
So, only thing I noticed, hips are here, down, and then they come back up a bit. It wasn't horrendous. You know what I mean? Like his hips probably started another inch or 2 lower, and then as soon as he pulled, they shot up just a tad, which then throws that back a little more flat, turns it into a RDL as opposed or stiff-legged deadlift a little bit
Yep.
more than a comp deadlift.
Yeah, maybe
Otherwise,
a little slower on on the wedge and slack pull.
yeah,
Yeah, and I didn't notice that the first time, but he kind of rolls into it a little more
yep,
strongman style. A lot
yep,
of strongmen lift that way. A lot of us average folks have a hard time being consistent when the barbell is moving because it's movement and it can mess
yeah,
with you. So I would spend a smidge more time on the setup, and I think that
yep,
might help. But
yeah.
technically, I mean, nothing egregious or
No,
injurious.
that wasn't bad at all. So yeah, the strongman pull is unique because they're so big. They have to get their arms around their massive body to be able to even get down to
Right.
the bar and get in position. And they don't sumo; they like half sumo or whatever you
What are
call
it?
it.
Frog stands?
Is that what it
Yeah.
is? Okay,
I don't know if
yeah.
that's officially what it's called, but that's what my buddy Richard calls it. Shout out to Rich.
If you're in the chat and you know what they call that, let us know. Probably, and again, I'm sure he's not happy with that lift, as he mentioned. Kind of like you said, in a typical Fed, you got to hold that top position too. So make sure you finish with the glutes, not overextend. Hold it, and then down. Just kind of own that top. But otherwise, I mean, that was good. I'm sure he could have done that. He just
Totally.
didn't. So
yeah. If you're someone who struggles with that hyperextension at the top of the deadlift, it can help to think about squeezing your glutes and quads. Because when the quads are engaged, you can't go into that full. Yeah. So
makes sense. All right. So here's his squat at 495.
Oh, we got a narrow stance.
And I think, at least as far as I can tell, again, no belt.
No
We
belt.
got no sleeves.
No problem.
What shoes was he wearing? I want to see the shoes.
Nikes. Yeah.
Are they just regular shoes?
Okay.
Those might be Adidas lifters. No.
No, I
Just
think
Adidas.
Those are Adidas.
Right?
Yeah, but I don't think their lifters are really narrow toe box.
Yeah. So that looks like just regular Adidas walking around shoes. So he's got no gear whatsoever.
Receiving no assistance from his
elbow stay. Oh, it froze on us. Sometimes it does that.
I'm just gonna make a quick comment that if you shave 2 inches off of your squat, you probably add some poundage. So as someone who so I don't think that's even the bottom. I think he goes a little deeper. So someone who came out of CrossFit, there is
he's way down there.
So this is like a full Olympic weightlifting range of motion. From a human anatomy and performance mobility standpoint, it is phenomenal to have this kind of mobility and flexibility and really great for you. From a maximum strength input in a back squat, it is not necessary, and you lose strength when you bottom out like that because there's not so much engagement. Now, if he was wearing knee sleeves, he would get a little bit of a rebound out of the hole, and that actually helps stop some of that. I'm hypermobile, and so part of why I started powerlifting was to become less flexible because it is a hindrance in everyday life. And something I had to stop doing was squatting to the center of the earth. So that's just wildly impressive. So definitely counts. We definitely hit depth.
Yeah. But yeah, you could shave off a inch or two there easy. So we had one like that on Monday too, where Sam and I said the same thing. Hey, great squat, super impressive. From a powerlifting stance, you can add a few pounds if you cut that just a little bit shorter. So, Leo's got a question for you. Maybe you'll know. So I'll show it on the screen here. What kind of mobility training can I work on for squats? I've had knee surgery on both knees, and I've been working on getting depth.
Ooh, okay. Great question, Leo. So depending on, let me preface this, I am not a doctor. I used to work in an orthopedic clinic, and things that can be really, really helpful for post-knee surgery rehab and stuff are adding like a little bit of resistance with bands and doing banded mobility stuff before. So like, let's see if I can, if you take a band like this, Leo, and you hook it, let me see, I'll hook mine here, to a rig of some sort. And then you grab yourself a step of any like size. Spanish step downs, forward, lateral, sideways are a really good way to challenge the knee and balance without a lot of load. So I like these as kind of a warm up. So I'm going to stand far enough away that the band is trying to pull my knee and just step down and drive back up. You can do a lot of different variations of these. You can, like right now, the band's pulling laterally. I could face forward, step forward and drive back. These are really great for helping strengthen all the tendons behind your knees and everything. For actual mobility, like one of the best things you can do is just spend time trying to sit as low as you can in a body weighted squat. Like part of your warm up for squats. For a lot of people, again, I'm hypermobile, so I'm not the best example, but holding on to a rig and walking yourself down to a position that feels comfortable and spending time down at the bottom there as part of your warm up or cool down routine is great. And then practically for actual barbell work, filming yourself from the side and watching where your general range of motion is at your working weights, and then pulling weight off and trying to get a half an inch lower. So think about your first 3 warm-up sets, maybe trying to get them half an inch, 2 inches lower than your working weight. Realistically, for most of us, when we start getting the top end of our strength, all of our habits are going to come back. So to build new ranges of motion, you're looking for lighter weight, more volume, and just creating new muscle movement patterns. Some of my suggestions.
Very good. Only thing I'll add from my end, I like to explain to people. So Mike Boyle used to talk about like the difference between like a stable and a mobile joint, right? And I've found over the years that that tends to help people comprehend, like, so the ankle is mobile, the knee is stable, and the hip is mobile. So if you had to have knee surgery, you want to strengthen things that will stabilize that knee. So your band piece was a perfect example. And then you want to do things that mobilize that ankle and the hips. Because if your ankle and hips are stiff, that knee is going to get more mobile to make up for it. And then you end up not doing what you want to do if you beat them up. So find some, obviously it depends on you as a person. I would almost guarantee, because most people on the planet who sit in a chair, you're doing a 12-hour night shift. I'm not sure what that is currently, but if you're security or something, you're sitting down or whatever it might be, or maybe you're like on a medical field and you're standing up all the time, right? If you're not changing postures on a regular basis, those ankles and those hips are almost always tight in some fashion. So open those up regularly over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and hopefully that'll alleviate some of that demand on the knee as well. So
yes,
you're gonna steel meal. So you're probably standing all the time, right? Is my guess.
And probably in specific types of footwear that are not like necessarily the most supportive. Yeah. And
heavy
for a lot of
steel-toed boots.
Yeah. Probably not fitting great. Not that everyone needs orthotic inserts. But yeah. And for a lot of, if you have tight, like if your ankles lack flexion, for a lot of folks, it's tight calves too. So you can do some like foam rolling, self-myofascial release.
SMR. Yeah.
A little SMR. And there's some great, like, you can find some really solid, like, free 5-minute yoga on, like, you know, you need a mat. You don't have to go do 90 minutes of hot yoga, but a lot of basic yoga poses are really good for helping with mobility, if that's something you can get into.
Yep. Here's one. Mr. Basement Brandon Campbell sent us $9.99. I didn't even know that was a thing, that we could get paid here on our live stream, but
Basement Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon. So
I can't wait to give him 10 out of 10 on his squats. Wow. They're preemptively amazing.
I'll send you your $5, Danielle, when I get it. So
really, I think it's like $4.98, but I'll take a tip.
Yeah. Leo said standing and sitting, steel toe boots, lifting heavy rolled steel. Yeah. So a lot of, I mean, nobody's job is perfect for general, hey, that I want to go lift, but there's some things to overcome there. Hopefully that helps, Leo. If not, you can always send me, you have my email, you can always send me an email. Me and Danielle can further the chat with you and help you out. So let's take a look at Tony. Let's do this one. Give me a second. Okay, so Tony has been in the GGC, I think, since the first year. He's competed in multiple different layouts because he's, I think, been in an apartment at one point and a couple of different houses and different stuff. He has an 1190 total here. No PRs. Yeah, so this is year 6 of the GGC for himself. Says he powerlifts as an expensive yet extremely enjoyable hobby, and his day job is a retail store manager. Yep. So everyone says, like, lifting can be cheap, and I'm like, I don't know who you're talking to. But.
When and where? Please explain. Yeah, my it's just
Tony has, I think, the most reasonable answer for the gorilla. He says, I'd rough it up, but I would not win. So, yeah. Okay, let's take a look at his squat. I had a couple of things. So to start, we go. Let me turn that down just a little bit. 1, 2, a little shimmy. Ideally, step back, and you're done, right? Every extra little shake and shimmy and foot twist and turn and whatever isn't ideal. That's not bad because he didn't take like 3 or 5 or 10 steps.
Yeah.
Just a little nitpicky thing there. If he can clean up that step back to be a little more perfect, he'd be on point. What's your take on the hands? I'm not seeing fingers and stuff wrapped around the bar. Do you think
I can't tell if it's kind of a suicide grip. But you really want fingers wrapped around the bar because you want to be able to squeeze. You want to be able to squeeze the bar and create tension to drive yourself back into it. And this, and then a big breath and driving your neck back is going to help brace your core and get the ugly butt, we like to call it, to get everything stacked, rib cage over pelvis. Which may help with that little, not the little bit of like the stripper squat that kicks in with the low back dominant. It's hard to evaluate people's lifts purely based on top end because at your abs, like when we're maxing out, our form is going to break down. Nothing, and so like these are all things. If your hips are rising before your knees at lower weights too, really working on tightening up here will help prevent that because it keeps pelvis and rib cage stacked and helps recruit the correct muscles. Most of us are going to have a little bit of form breakdown on high end, but.
Yeah. And you can see those hands aren't tight. I think it's more clear here. Those hands aren't tight. So those elbows are actually kind of behind him.
Flared.
They're more back here instead of here. Right.
Yeah. I want to see a big squeeze there.
Yeah. So
great
depth looks pretty good. Yeah. So, and then back up. So yeah, like you said, hips come up first, but it's not horrible.
Okay, it's not egregious. It's not gonna, but I think if there's more, if your back was stacked really efficiently, you'd probably rise a little more stably.
Yeah. So like I grinded out my squat this week, and even though I hit a midpoint, I kind of do that thing, but like you can still see my chest because I'm still in that locked kind of position. We lose, like if you were the wall, you would lose sight of his chest pretty much entirely because he comes out under. So
yeah.
But good lift overall. Those are some small tweaks. I mean, I think that hand piece would probably solve most of that.
It is. His thumb, you can see now when he re-racks, he is holding the bar like this. I think if you can, and there may, like, obviously we don't know his health history or not. There may be a reason for that because it looks like he might have his thumb wrapped on the other hand. But if it's possible to fully wrap around the bar, you want maximum, you want to act like you're trying to bend the barbell in half and meld yourself into it.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at also bonus points for lifting on the least stable of home gym equipment I've seen in a while. So
legitimately, like, look at this bench. You can bench and like extend on it.
Yeah. Tony gets the bar out. Legs are set, hips come way up, but that's okay. And then he resets the feet. All right, so let's do that one again.
I'm digging the vibes too. He's like Will Max to mood music.
So feet are pretty tucked. Obviously, that depends on you. My take would probably be if his hips are shooting up that quick, he might be a little better keeping the feet out forward a bit. I know when I used to try and like mimic my favorite powerlifter kind of thing in that sitting, that was so common. So if he moves his feet a bit further, almost kind of like his shin would be parallel-ish, he'd probably be able to keep that butt down a bit more and be able to, like we talked with, I think it was with Leo, get those shoulders and the traps back and in a better position.
Yes. A lot of us will try to tuck the toes to create more arch, but it creates an arch, like it forces your lumbar spine into a spinal arch, but it does not actually get you into your traps or create any tension. And so for a lot of people, moving the feet out, and again, in some, like, you can have heels off the ground, but a lot of people actually get better leg drive with your feet firmly planted because you can dig the toes in, and you want your toes pushing forward and your body driving back towards your shoulders. So you're driving back and not driving the hips up.
Yep. Let's see. The rest of the lift.
I like the little, he stabilized really well.
Yeah. Finished strong. Yeah, I think another dead giveaway on that one is the fact that to re-rack that bar, he's got to move his feet out.
Yeah.
Like that's almost where he should be, is where that left leg moved to. So yeah. So start there, Tony, and see how that works.
But I mean, clean lift, great weight. Oh, he banned it.
Bands. I thought he was.
He ran out of space for a weight, and he was like, "How do I? We love it. Love to see a challenge." Is there a baby? Is there a baby?
That might be a kiddo we're recording for him. So
we love it, family gym moment.
Side note: so that you see the True Form runner right there, he won that in the GGC 1 year. So
stop it.
Yeah. So Tony won early on and was like, "I'm coming back every time."
Every time, that probably hasn't won since, because that's how it works.
It tends to, yeah. I had nothing on that deadlift.
I have no feedback. Yeah. He has a very narrow stance and it works really well for him. So this is a good reminder that like on deadlifts, a lot of people will stand wider than necessary. Typically for squats, most people do well with about a shoulder width stance. And for deadlifts, we want hip width. But for some folks, going narrower works better. Like this is super clean. His hips don't bounce. He's got obviously great hamstring engagement, driving really efficiently off the floor. So don't be afraid. Tony's great. This is just for everybody else. Don't be afraid to play with that foot stance. A lot of people take it unnecessarily wide on deadlifts and would be stronger with a little bit more narrow, condensed power off the floor. So yeah, love it.
Tony. Good deadlift, my dude. Couple of pieces on the squat, and I think the bench, moving those legs, would be the big piece for you. So, all right, let's go with next Instagram one. I got it. Okay, so we've got
music.
Eric, who goes by Lakeside Health Coaching. He he did kilos, so I'm totally for lost here. 145 kilo squat, so that's like a 300-ish, right? 15 squat. His bio says, some call me the powerlifting professor, but I'm an adjunct faculty. It's good to know your college instructor can outlift most of you. He teaches wellness at his local university and runs his own private training studio. Very cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 300
says, against the gorilla, he says he thinks he would do better than people would expect. Old age and treachery will defeat youth and skill.
Okay.
And he says this is his first mock meet, so pretty cool.
Nice.
Okay, let's take a look. What? Watch me! I got it! Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got soul, and I'm super bad. I got soul. Anything on the squat?
It looked solid lift. I'd count it. I'd give it 3 white lights. I think you could benefit as well from some of the cues we gave. Was it Zach we gave? Where great walkout, by the way, great stabilization. Think about really getting your upper body into the bar and that back tightness. Like we don't want to look like this in our squat. We want almost exaggerated here. He's not squatting like this, obviously. This is an exaggeration. But if you can get into the bar and drive your neck back, it will create a little more tension and a little more strength out of the hole. There's a very upright posture that can happen with high bar squatters, and you lose recruitment from those lower back muscles. So it's like the opposite of the stripper squat problem. Some of us are really low back dominant and just use that to get up. So if we can create a little more tension, but very clean lift, 3 white lights.
Yeah, one of the things I tend to tell people is don't forget that the squat is not a upper body lift, right? And don't forget that the bench is also a lower body lift, right? Because those are probably the 2 hardest things, like as you progress to remember. Like in bench, you're like, all right, I got to get my chest, and then you're like, oh, I forgot the other 9/10 of my body. And squat, all you're focused on is this bar is going to kill me. I need to use my legs to get it up off the ground, and you forgot about everything from the waist up. Even if you braced, you forgot everything here, right? And so, all right, let's watch his.
Very professorial.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, great up. Very clean. Yeah, good pause at the top. Solid re-rack. Not bad for a first mock meet. Okay, see him digging his feet into the floor here? That's what we want to see from bench, some leg drive. Nice pause.
That was perfect.
That was beautiful.
Leo, pay attention to this one, dude. So watch his feet get set and see how his body, like his upper body is coming back into the bench, almost like he's trying to shoot himself into a spotter kind of thing. So
yeah,
set, arms there, locked. Good pause. I mean, that was clean.
Yeah,
and he did that.
I
thought the spotter was going to give him a lift off. He may have had a couple of extra pounds if he got a good clean lift off. But otherwise, I didn't have anything there. So
no, that was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Let's watch the deadlift.
Is that one of his students who he outlifts? Probably. Show him how it's done.
It's like Travis Papa Bear Rogers is a PE.
His whole little crew.
Yeah. All right. Anything there?
There's something. It's like he set up and then unset up and reset up at the beginning.
So he's there and then up and then kind of back, right? Like he kind of did that in squat too. I thought he was going to unrack it like 2 times and he didn't. And then he did. Weirdly enough, I'm working on this with my daughter in a lot of things. It's like she gets in her head. So she like we go to a trampoline park on Tuesdays and she's like, oh, I'm going to do a flip. She goes and sets up and she goes,
yes. And then she's like psyched herself out at this point.
And then she goes and I'm like, dude, you do it after the second one or something like that, right?
Right.
And so, so she's getting in her head the whole time. So the more of those like things that are going through your head of almost, well, not yet, no, yet, can lead to some issues. His form doesn't seem to break down from it, which is good.
No, but from the time he actually wedges and starts his pull, it's a very clean deadlift. Yeah. Deadlifts are interesting because I think if you follow strongman or powerlifting, like a lot of people have these kind of like ritualistic deadlift setups. And for some people, having too much show and flash and movement can be distracting. So it didn't detract from the lift at all. I think it looks very clean. I think that little wobble in the beginning, it didn't hurt. But if you find yourself wobbling and then like if you're inconsistent, you're sometimes hitting lifts and you're sometimes not, slowing your brain, breathing through. And this is something that I struggle with and still haven't figured out how to do, even though I can teach other people how to do it. So do as I say, not as I do. And you're in good company, or at least in company.
Yep. So the good analogy I can probably use is they talk about this in basketball. So free throw shooters. So one of the best basketball players, but he's a terrible free throw shooter, is Giannis, who plays for the Bucks. And his free throw routine is like he gets the ball, he spins it, he holds it, he breathes twice, then he dribbles twice, he spins it, then he puts it on his hip, and it's like a 13-second routine. Whereas then Steph Curry, who's like a 97% free throw shooter or something crazy, he like gets the ball, dribbles, and shoots, right? That's it. And so the simpler your routine is, the more likely you are to nail it every single time and not get in your head, get set up and go, oh, wait, I skipped a dribble or this thing or whatever.
Yes.
So with something like this, with a lifting piece, ideally, the less things that you have to line up in order for that routine to click, the more likely it clicks every time. So the last thing you want to do is, especially in a legitimate meet, would be walk up to the bar, get set, and then go, oh, wait, no, I got it. Let me redo it. And then you run out of time and they DQ you because you're out of time kind of thing. So, yeah. So like we said, didn't look like he messed up here. Just a potential for it to be an issue in the future. So, and
hopefully all useful for other folks watching as well, where you may resonate with some of this. But yeah, that was a very clean deadlift.
Eric, good work, dude. Great lifts.
Well done, Eric.
Keep making your students jealous and thinking that they're weak.
That's right.
All right.
Make sure you remind me that you were born in the late 1900s.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to hear from my friends' kids. Oh, in the late 1900s.
switch to here. All right, so this is Greg. Greg goes by Philosophizing Robot on Instagram. He actually is a sponsor of the GGC, so he runs Aperture Engineering. I'm going to drop his page link in there. We'll show it out here. So Greg makes 3D printed stuffs for the home gym. So J-cup covers and different stuff. He actually made the pieces that I use to store my barbell on the wall and a bunch of other cool things. Greg's been around for quite a few years, and he himself is like an Ironman competitor and all kinds of crazy stuff. So
all right,
let's take a look at his list. All right, so first up, socks for squats is crazy.
Ballsy.
I'm hoping,
on a wood platform.
Yeah, I'm hoping, Greg, you've got some grippies on the bottom of those socks. So same thing as we had with Tony. We got no thumb wrapped around the bar, and we got some elbows that are kind of pointed back. We're probably missing some of that tightness up in the upper body. Spot looks good otherwise, though.
Yeah.
Depth looked pretty good. Obviously, we got some stuff in the way, but did you see anything else?
No, the squat itself, very clean. Similar to some other feedback we've given, I would pare back the walkout. You could save some energy with fewer steps. And some of that might just be the socks. Squatting in socks on that terrifies me.
4, 5. Yeah.
And then
you had about
kind of
2 steps, 3 or 4 shimmies, and another foot moving and whatever. And and
you hear some really good breathing and bracing, but I notice he takes a few breaths. So this may be there's like.
Yeah.
So I like to breathe, brace, lock into the bar, stand it up, settle. If the bar is moving around, you end up taking more steps. So unrack, pause, step, pause, hit your lift.
Yep.
So it's really, if possible, 1 breath to unrack, 2nd breath and brace to squat. You're saving time under tension. You're not standing under the barbell for as long. And the longer you lift and the more weights you lift, you really have to nitpick those things to keep progressing.
Yeah.
Right? When you're brand new, as long as you're moderately safe, you're going to make substantial progress because you just haven't been doing it. But as we get to, hey, I've been lifting for a while, I do this regularly. You really have to fine tune some of these nitty gritty things to eke out pounds and kilos.
Yeah. Like when I'm coaching my daughter on Sundays, we've got a handful of girls from her team coming over to do workouts and stuff. I'm sitting there going, I'm focused on like the big pieces, right? Like, are we falling over while doing lunges or something, right? Like,
are we whacking other people with our barbell?
We did medicine ball carries the other day, and so I'm teaching them like how to pick it up correctly, because they all just want to do this.
They want to
pick it up kind of thing, right? And I'm like, no,
and at
every
their
time
age they can, and so it's a good time to practice. You can learn, but if you continue doing that once your spine has developed, we have problems.
Especially once you get strong enough to hurt yourself, right?
That's
the key. That's one of the ones I've had conversations with a few parents is I'm like, when you're 7 and 8, you're not really strong enough, nor do you know how to push yourself hard enough to be able to hurt yourself real bad in a lifting stance, which is a perfect place to be, because then we can go, nope. We can make a bunch of mistakes. You know, if you try and load, Greg's got 315 on the bar. If he, squatted like a dummy, he'd shoot his, spine out the back. So,
exactly. And to be clear, he didn't. You did not squat like a dummy. Great work, Greg. Again, just nitpicking and tweaking the walkout.
Little cleanup on the walkout and get those elbows in for that tightness in the upper back piece. So, see his bench.
Yes.
Uh,
Okay, take the socks off. I feel better.
So I feel like he kind of artificially got tightness in his back. Like he pushed into it to unrack it, but then as soon as he
And then lost
sat
it.
down, it just all went away because it wasn't like really there.
Yes.
So let's watch the. So yeah, go back a little bit further. So we can see he tries to push back into it there,
Yeah.
but he needed to get tight, then
And
put
then
the ball.
pause and
Yeah,
then bring
not
it down.
this. Let me do it all at one time kind of thing. So, yeah. And same thing. He's kind of like when he breathed, it almost looked like he completely let go of the brace and then took a deep breath. So that's a hard one, is learning how to hold that tight and take a little bit more air, right? It's that sip of air that you get
Yes.
where you just kind
Like
of almost like you're breathing through a straw kind of
the
thing.
diaphragmatic breathing, or
Yep.
but yes, when you big breath to inflate your chest, you lose all the tension you created versus
the way I end up teaching it is through weighted carries, because I tell people, I go, you can't brace. It's too long of an exercise for you to not breathe. So you have to breathe, but you have to brace. Otherwise, you're going to crumple over.
Yes.
So you have to learn how to do all those things at one time, or else you're going to die, right? You're going to pass out or something. So
fall down.
Yeah. The lack of tension is where his butt comes in. Otherwise, I mean, good lift. So,
a little smoochy smooch at the end.
295 bench for Greg.
So cute.
That would be, she goes by Redhead Renegade. I think that's his.
Ooh, I like that.
Could be girlfriend at this point. I'm not positive. They are training partners, and they run Ironman and bike riding stuff and all kinds of things together.
Lord.
So, yeah,
good on them. Better them than me.
Not too shabby. So I think similar to what we talked about with, was it Zachary? Got a little low and then kind of came up a little, almost like there was two setups. Kind of back to that like strongman kind of setup, right? Where because he rolled the bar up.
Yep.
So we'll see how low he gets. So he's like, I mean, he's squatting the bar right there. His hips should probably be, I don't know, 3-4 inches higher at that point.
And I wonder, this is something I struggle with, and a lot of it is an ingrained movement from doing, if you have Olympic lifted well or not, like if you've done,
true.
But so if they Ironman, another thing, if you have done cross training, power cleans, squat cleans, the setup is so similar to deadlifts, but so different because the hips are, and so that can just be a real mind game. I'm still my last meet, one of my friends who's a ref who I referee with, was like, hey, I know I'm not your coach, but your hips, I was like, I know I suck, like it's not my best lift and I'm not gonna hurt myself, but I'm not gonna get stronger till I figure it out, and this is just where we are. But if you're squatting your deadlift, you're missing out on a lot of muscle recruitment, and like, welcome to the club again. You're in company, whether it's good or not, you're in company. You're not allowed.
So Greg, on this one, the key would be wherever you start the pull, which is here.
And see, he starts from a good spot. He sets up really low.
That's probably where you want. You don't really need to go lower than that to get set. That's where you should get your tension, because the problem is you go so low and then you come up wasted effort. There's a chance that you shift all that into your back instead of into your hamstrings because you gave up that tension and all that good stuff. So,
and this is where you'll see lifters hitting like, oh my gosh, I PR'd and did amazing and crushed it because you have the capacity to. But if your starting routine is off and you start your pull a little too low next time, it'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't even pull my last warm-up weight off the ground. Yep. Where last week this flew. And a lot of times it's yeah. So I would try to start from this position. Thinking about long arms can help. Yep. Because see how his arms are all the way fully extended and locked. If you're starting with long arms, your hips have to be higher. And so sometimes thinking about arms and not hips can help get us out of those.
Yep.
Patterns. Yeah.
You want to do, we're at 5. You want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do one
for
more.
Friendship.
Okay, so we've got Logan. He goes by lift, laugh, and then like dot something, which I'm pretty sure is like lift, laugh, love.
Is it lift, laugh, love?
Yeah. We got a 455 squat, 345 bench, 505 deadlift, and he includes a special lift on top of it.
Yes.
So 1305 total. He claims he deadlifted his PR. PR. Deadlifted his PR.
I love deadlifting my PRs as well.
PR is deadlift is what I was
favorite things.
Maybe that's why I'm supposed to quit at 5 o'clock because
yours is 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock everywhere.
Yeah. He says, I'm a dad who started garage lifting during COVID and never looked back. I did powerlifting style training for years before I began competing in strongman last year. That's a hint as to what the extra lift will be. I had not benched or squatted heavy in over 6 months, so I wasn't hoping for PRs. However, I've been focusing on my weakest lift and hit a huge 505-pound deadlift PR. Working towards 500 for over a year, came up short in both GGCs in 2024. So this was a 20-pound all-time PR.
Yes.
So very excited. The gorilla would beat me with me. So I think he thinks the gorilla is literally going to grab.
The gorilla will be like, sweet, you gave me 99 extras of you. I got one in each hand and I'm whacking them. Oh no, we lost Joe. So this is problematic because he is running the entire live stream. So we'll see if Joe hops back on here in a minute. And if not, then we're up the creek without a paddle. Oh, here he comes.
All right. Sorry, my window crashed there.
Lame. No, don't worry. I entertained them.
And that's switched. Okay.
Ooh, yes.
Overall, pretty clean lift.
Yep.
I think some of the same feedback. So a couple of extra steps in the back, a couple of extra breaths and things. Kind of one of those. I'm assuming that's him like trying to psych himself up, like here we go kind of thing. More than likely, that's just wasting energy and taking focus away from the lift. But yeah. So actually see, it looks like he tried to get the back tightness, right?
Yeah, I was going to say this is a great place to pause it because this is actually what we're looking for in the squat, that like his pelvis is slightly tucked. It doesn't need to be exaggerated, but you can see as he's about to brace here, his rib cage and pelvis are stacked over each other. And then when he steps out, he loses that a little bit and kind of goes back to neutral spine. Again, not the end of the world, but you're leaving some strength on the floor.
Yep. So for anyone not sure what she's talking about with the stacked piece, typically your spine would be at least a little bit of an S curve, right? And so what we're trying to do is kind of take as much of that away as possible, right? So then that way we are like this, which is not natural, but something we are trying to accomplish for the sake of lifting the most amount of weight. Let's see how he unwraps. Yeah, so for me, for my dude here, Logan, the way that I found that I can get out of the rack in the best still upright position. So let's watch that on rack one more time and watch how he lifts kind of up and out, almost like you do on a bench. So he goes up and out at the same time. I actually go up and push into the J cups most of the time. So that way I can stand straight up, and I use that rack to help keep me there, almost like it's like a Smith machine, right? And then I start back. So kind of like we were talking, break it down into like individual pieces, right? Up, stable, out, stable, air,
Down.
stable, down, right? Yeah. So that would be maybe something to try, Logan, on your squat, is to try and instead of go up and out all in one go, up, let it settle a bit, then start your back, which might also help you clean up a couple of steps. Actually, steps were pretty good. I think I only saw 2 there.
You didn't take a ton.
Yeah.
It's the lots of shallow breaths to psych.
Yeah.
So you see how he had his brace, and then we breathed and he lost it a little bit. There's a moment where he takes like 3 breaths. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but watches rib cage.
You might be under exaggerating there. I think he took like 5. So watch
436.
Yeah. So he's got it, right? He looks pretty good right here.
Yes.
And then you can see he breathes. And with each one of those, that back starts to open up a little bit more on the belt. So, which tends.
And you're seeing a little bit of elbow flare too.
Yeah.
I think all the breathing, we lost some tension, the elbows flare. We get that. Again, like our spines do naturally curve, but we're trying to use our muscles to compress and combat that and be as upright as we can when we, as stacked as we can when we squat.
The other thing I would say is that since we can like audibly hear him breathing and kind of see his mouth moving, typically that means he's probably chest breathing, I would think, as opposed to belly breathing. So, because if you are tight and braced in the belly, that's about
can't make noises.
That's about all you can do, kind of thing. So you shouldn't hear that much, but he's kind of like gasping for air kind of deal. That's gonna make a good clip, by the way.
Yay! Let me take that out of context later.
So the get that belly tight, get that air in, and then learn how to keep that while you just do that little sip. And then I think we'll keep that tightness a bit better. But down looks good. Up
great,
looks fantastic. Yeah.
Very
everything
stable.
else is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Nothing past the descent I have. So
agreed.
Good lift, dude. So here's bench. Look clean. Only comment I had was kind of back to what I think it was similar to Greg's. Like he got set and then he picked his feet up and then redid it. So watch. He's going to grab the bar. He's going to pull himself out and under and tight, and then he moves his feet.
And he's already in an arch position, but you can't maintain that trap tightness once the feet lift. And then you have to retighten. It's just extra effort.
So literally all that effort he did of coming back here and doing this just went as soon as he moved those feet. You got to it has to go feet up, not the other way. So he does that, and then he does, 2 or 3, which like, he doesn't look bad here. It's just that whole first thing was unnecessary for.
Yeah, and again, it can lead to inconsistencies or throw you off when
Yeah.
if you like same as we've been talking about with deadlift, like that can lead to frustration where it's like I PR'd and I crushed it, and then the next time I try to go 5 pounds lighter and I can't hit the weight, and it's not a strength thing; it's just inconsistent setup and leg drive.
Yep. So Logan, try maybe not either not doing that first part, or if you do it, you got to keep your feet planted first and then do it. Some combo of what you're doing, keep it a little simpler. But otherwise, I don't see legs don't move a ton, butt doesn't move a ton. I'm not seeing the chest cave, the elbows don't flare.
Brace looked good, bar path looked good.
It looks
solid
like he's got dual markings on the bar, but that's a pretty close grip because it looks like his hand is a good inch, maybe 2 inside the powerlifting marks. Obviously, one size does not fit all for powerlifting. So if close grip is what works for you, especially if that's what keeps you healthy, then keep it rolling. But all things being equal, typically wider is stronger because it's less range of motion and all kinds of stuff. So that might be another place to look around at, Logan, is a slightly wider bench grip.
You can recruit your lats a little better. You can get down, and when you're narrow, you're really limited in trap usage and lat usage. The wider you go, it brings the bar path down here and helps get up onto the shoulders. And some people are way stronger narrow grip.
Yeah, Sam and I on Monday were talking about squatting, and one guy had I think his feet were like about that far apart, right? And I said, all things being equal, a little bit wider tends to be a little bit better. Low bar tends to be better than high bar, etc. But then you got guys like John Hack who throw all that out the window, and it doesn't matter. So
yeah, and if you've been training for a long time and you've already played with all these things and you're like, this is what works, great. But if you're newer and you're still learning and experimenting and we've hit a plateau, play with grip. Do a grip variation that's different than your normal variation once a week. Run it for a cycle and see how you feel.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at the deadlift. So this was the one that he was excited about the most. Chasing 500.
Yeah.
So awesome lift. Good work. Go ahead.
This is a great example of having a routine and a hype before getting to the bar. But then when he was ready to deadlift, he locks in, he sets his grip, he wedges, and he pulls. So you can still do fun deadlift, hypey up stuff. Like, I'm not
whatever.
We love to see it. Smack yourself. I have a buddy who's a strongman who coaches at the local YMCA, and he chalks up and goes, ha, 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 and then just like pulls 800 billion pounds. He's like 6'7", huge dude, but like calm, like smack. I just love it. But once his feet are set at the bar, he is locked in. He's grabbing the bar. He's pulling. So that was a great example of having the hype, but then locking in and not being distracted once you're ready to go.
Yep. Watch this. So here's the hype. Oof, oof.
We're going to shake. We're going to shimmy. We're going to scream. We're going to stretch.
So I think he could do some breath work in general. So, because that looked like, so squat, we had it for him. Deadlift didn't, like, when I'm looking for the breath in somebody, I saw a lot of face going on there as opposed to that belly really expand kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Logan, that might be a piece for you, is to work on trying to feel like you're expanding 360 in that belly. So out back, to the sides, out front, like everything expanding, and it's all in that gut as opposed to up here kind of thing. So
I like to imagine that Kim Kardashian's trying to trap me into one of those stupid waist trainers, and I'm like, not today, Satan, and then I just bust it off. So I hope that's helpful for you guys.
It's the best cue possible.
Almost as good as my youth group side hug for bench. That's what happens when we go overtime, Joe. You get unhinged tips from me.
The other one that I would say, and obviously it's hard to tell how thin he is, but like most of the time when you get a good belly breath, it looks real ugly in the gut. Your whatever you got here ends up folding over that belt a little bit.
Aim and I don't for muffin top.
And I don't see that at all.
Yeah. And he's pretty lean, but it does, and we definitely lose it here. Whatever brace there was, like, because there's breath held in the face.
Yeah.
And again, so very clean, great way, impressive. I think you'll be able to add some serious poundage with some tweaks.
So like, you can start to see that back starts to round a little bit, which is why he ends up having to finish a little bit less than, straight up and down. But I mean, for his first 500, that's a fantastic lift, dude. So clean up a little bit and we might have a 525 or even a little bit more on the bar for you next time. So
yes.
Okay, let's finish it off with his final extra bonus lift.
Yes.
Which Danielle and I are going to try and tear apart, even though we don't know what we're talking about.
Super extras. Expert.
So Logan is competing in strongman stuff. So here he's got his log. I'm assuming that's so he's got his A7 grip shirt on, I believe is what that is, but it's actually on the back. I thought he was going to flip it around for the for the bar, for the log, but he didn't go that way. So let's see.
Jason.
That's more than I can do.
I mean, same. I think so. From a non-strongman expertise perspective, I think if you work on breathing and bracing, it'll translate across all of these lifts, because it is for overhead pressing. You have to move back and get up. Like that arched position absolutely does happen. You're going to get more strength and drive though if you're braced effectively, and you'll have a little, again, going max weight, like you'll have less leg wobble as well if that core is more stable. Something that can help people work on bracing, if you are so Jordan seems like a great example of a relatively experienced lifter who's been doing it for a while and has the equipment, loosening your belt one notch and making yourself fill it out can actually help. Because a lot of us get lifting belts and get them real tight, which obviously they have to be noticeable.
Tight. Yeah.
Right. But then if you try loosening it one and push all the way out against it and fill it, that can be a helpful kinesthetic feedback loop.
Yep. Yeah. Especially like you said. So I've done some log work in my yard, so I'm an expert at this lift. The bracing piece, like you said, though, is super crucial, because that you to not hit yourself in the face with the log, you have to come here. If you're braced here, you're gonna end up like this instead of that, because you want that extension from the thoracic, right? Not from the low back and from the hips. You want low back down to be nice and straight and stiff, and use that thoracic. You're almost turning it into a bench press here. You're so far back. So,
and it makes sense. We see this a lot in people who's, again, previously struggled with it. But when your butt flies off the bench, it's often because we're getting too much lumbar extension and not enough thoracic. So I think it will translate across all lifts.
So everything I understand about my expertise in logs is that, you got to get on your legs, you got to get under it to squat it to then clean that bar up. So I see that looks pretty good. Probably a little unstable there. I would assume probably for the statements that we said. He's basically having to clean up some stability with his steps that he lost through the middle. The other thing I would say is he's using a lever belt, which means he probably hit that lever on the way up with the log. You got to get yourself so Pioneer makes like what they call, I think, a hybrid belt, which is like it's like a strap type one. There's a couple of other options that I've seen, or one that I use that works pretty well. You need like the least amount of stuff in the front possible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that little bit of a hiccup is not fun. So, and then it's almost like a half front squat, or like maybe not a half, eighth front squat. That those knees should come forward a little bit, all the way into that, so your quads get up and then straight up. And so he may have dipped a little far, is all I would say, but he finishes strong and down.
Yeah.
So
nice work.
For the little bit of strongman stuff I have tinkered with, that's a good lift. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Yeah, that was fun.
Anything to finish us off for today?
Good work, everybody.
Yeah, those were some excellent lifts. So we got,
and like Joe said, if we reviewed you and you would like visuals, like send him an email. We can pull clips and send you links and resources on what we're talking about. This is just kind of a sidebar, but because we had so many mentions of bench and leg drive, Chad Delaney, who owns TriFit Barbell in Greenville, taught me how to bench, but like to enter from the back of the bench. And you sit and you set your feet and then you slide down into it. And for my brain, that has worked really well. I have quite a high arch. You do not have to do a fully acrobatic setup like I do. If you see me on Instagram, you do not have to do it that way. But Celine the Machine, who is going to Worlds this year for the 66 kilo weight class for US. Oh, I guess no, she went up a weight class. Anyways, if you follow Celine on Instagram, does a setup from the back where she sits, she sets her feet, she slides in, and then but like that for me was really helpful in placing my feet first and setting the location of my feet based on already being, my hands are set on the bar is in my chest, I'm upright, and then I go from there. So that's something that may be helpful for people. It can be hard to enter from the back. Like, I think that you get under the bar and you think you're under it and you set your feet and then you go to unrack and you're like, oh wait, I need another 2 inches. And then, but whatever you do, find a way to make it consistent and hit those multi-points. But yeah, this was super fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Made it through, I think, 6 lifters total today, so not too shabby. Log, clean and press, and some mobility chats, and we made $10. So hey, that's a win all around. So
$9.99, and Leo stayed with us the whole time, even though he's stuck at a 12-hour shift at a steel mill. That's another win. Shout out
Leo,
to Leo.
Hopefully you have a good rest of your work day, my friend. We're going to sign off. If you haven't yet, the GGC is still open through Sunday. You can submit your lifts no matter where you lift. Squat, bench, deadlift. Can be just one lift if that's your jam or you're injured or whatever it might be. We accept everybody. You can lift with a safety squat bar or a trap bar or whatever it might be. If it looks like a squat, bench, or deadlift, it probably counts. We donate money to Special Olympics for everyone who enters as well. So whether you want to win any of the $17,000 in prizes or not, you're still doing something cool for a good organization. And of course, then me and people like Danielle get to come on here and pick apart your lifts and give you feedback for free as well. And if you don't want to be part of the live stream, there's coaching options through email and stuff as well. The whole point of the GGC is to try and get people lifting and help them be a better lifter tomorrow compared to today and the whole deal, and just keep it rolling. So hopefully that jives with you. You'll hop on in and we'll see you here soon. Danielle, thanks, my friend. Any last
Joe.
words?
This has been a delight.
Yeah, it's always fun. So
Always fun.
Thanks everybody who hopped in and checked out what we're doing today. We will be back. Well, I will be back tomorrow. Danielle will be watching Survivor or doing something else.
Probably.
Yeah.
Crying on the puddle on my floor because I'm no longer a part of the magic. You know, it's fine.
I will be back tomorrow with another guest host. Tomorrow is Rob Cola from Cola Strong. Nice. And then we'll finish off the week this week with Christian Ernst on Friday. And then I'll be back next week with 4 more, and the week after with 4 more, and then wrap it up, with one final bow for
data.
So, yep, data and all the good fun stuff. So
wait, you say data or data? This is important.
I say data. I don't know why. Maybe
I say data, and I also don't know why. So
I don't have any idea. So yeah. No, I was thinking about it today. I was like, normally when I do things, I'm like, let's start simple and slow and the whole deal. And then I was like, hey, I should do a live stream because we didn't do one in the fall. All right.
To make up for it, we'll do 18 live streams.
Yeah. 13 in 4 weeks. That's a great idea.
It's my lucky number. Yeah. Let's go big or go home. Why not?
So, so join us tomorrow. And that's it. So thanks, everybody.
Good work. Be safe. Make wise choices.